A decade ago, Ava DuVernay was working as an entertainment industry publicist when she began writing a love story based on her own experiences growing up in Compton. The result is the movie Middle of Nowhere, for which DuVernay won this year's Best Director Award at the Sundance Film Festival. DuVernay recently spoke about the making of the film, which was shot on location in South Central and other neighborhoods of LA. For the Los Angeles Times, I'm Verrier on location.
I describe Middle of Nowhere as a love story, a complicated love story, about a woman who's kind of caught between two places, you know. She's caught between night and day. She's caught between her husband and herself in some ways. She's caught between the path that she was supposed to be on and where she really is. And that kind of in-betweenness is really when we find ourselves in the middle of nowhere, and you have to kind of get back to a place that's more anchored. And so that's what we explore in this film, is that middle time, that in-between time. And I think a lot of us go through it. In particular, I was really intrigued by the idea of a woman who kind of works at night and is in a limbo in her life in some way. I kind of see night workers, people that work the late shift, as being in between, living in an in-between world. So that was kind of the impetus for Ruby, and then the idea of her being this victim of incarceration came after that initial idea of kind of the core of who she was. A person that starts to identify with their circumstances as opposed to being identified by who they are. And so that's really Ruby's journey, is to try to get back to herself. It's her circumstances as the wife of an incarcerated man that starts to become her identity, and that's where her troubles begin. The idea of looking at the lives of the victims of incarceration, you know, beyond the prisoner, the wives, the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, really came out of knowing a lot of women who were going through that. I had experiences with that in my own family, and it really wasn't an odd thing growing up to talk to a woman and to hear that her brother was locked up or her son was locked up. Unfortunately, you know, in black and brown communities, it's much more prevalent. And I'd never seen it really explored cinematically. And so that was definitely something that I was interested in doing in a way that felt authentic and honest to what I've observed. We shot Middle of Nowhere in communities of color within Los Angeles. We were in this community for about a week. We had a 19-day shoot. The house behind me is the main character's house, Ruby. And I love the house because it reminds me of the house that I grew up in. I grew up in Compton in the Linwood area and spent a lot of time running around these streets of South Central as a teenager and in my college years. When you watch the film, you know, there's a sense of place, but not, I don't feel it's in a show-off way in terms of, you know, pat us on the back because we shot in the hood. It's just, you know, Ruby walks down this street into her house. And there are a lot of streets like this all over communities of color that are never seen on screen.
Perfect darkness is all I can see.